The one with the all or nothing. All right, I am back. Alex does not have to be solo again. Well, probably she will at some point, but it's perfect timing for this subject or topic of all or nothing, because as we were trying to, get our schedules aligned and figure out how can we meet up and talk and what topics are we going to do, and we were going back and forth like, well, do we record one? Do we not? I mean, we're not together. And so it was just so funny. It was like, well, Alex, we don't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be both of us or nothing at all. Like, you can take one on your own. I can take one on our own or my own, whatever. But it's so easy to default to this all or nothing mentality, or like binary for our computer people, like this 1 or 0 way of thinking. So like, what are your thoughts on this way of thinking of like all or nothing, or on and off, or yes and no, very binary?
I've been trying to give this some thought, and I think like everything else, it's all gray, right? It's the answer to all or nothing is not a black and white answer either, because I do think that there's a time and a place for all or nothing in our lives. But for the most part, I do think that like we let ourselves get overwhelmed by everything happening, and it becomes very much like, well, I can only focus on this, and everything else has to fall by the wayside. So I think we land yet again on this middle balance, gray area, straddling both sides.
So I'm curious, you said there's some places in your life that would be appropriate or okay to be like all or nothing. What's an example of that?
Going on vacation.
Like, what do you mean by
that?
So what's that mean?
Like shutting everything down at home, like letting go of it all, like shutting it, like I cannot do anything because I am focusing like on me for a couple days, and then you cancel all your obligations. I don't know. I guess when I think of all or nothing, for me, there are so many different ways that you can think of it. Like whether it's, health, nutrition, exercise, work, family, I think there's so many different facets to it.
Right. So like, that's where I was picking at you and saying like, okay, there's some facets in your life. So like, is there one, like vacation, you said for you is like an all or nothing? Does that mean like brain wise, schedule wise, food wise, exercise wise? Like what? I mean, like you just said, there's multi-layers.
I guess, so. And as I was saying it, I was like, she's going to get me on this one, because it's not all or nothing. I guess in my life at the moment, very much like scheduling is top of mind. And so I think for me, all I want in life right now is 2 days off for my brain to shut down, and for me to have no obligations and not have to take care of kids. So that's sort of like the nothing I want in my life right now.
Okay, I can totally see what is top of mind for you. Yeah. I mean, when I was bringing this topic, to light of let's talk about this, I obviously go straight to my clients, and I train people and help people, support people with nutrition and with physical activity. And it's funny of like the number one thing, or the first thing that we tackle, is this all or nothing mindset, because it's so easy for us and it's so defaultish of us to be like, okay, I'm all in, let's go. And the first question I would say is like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, no this, more of this, more of this. And it's like, well, how sustainable is that? And they're like, well, I don't know, how long are we doing it? And it like plays into this diet culture of like 30 days. We already did an episode on like changing habits, and it takes at least, well, the science says it takes at least 63 days to like change a habit. And like just recently I had a client, we were looking over the food logs, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm drinking way too much alcohol. Like I have to like detox 0 days, 30 days without alcohol, like 0 alcohol. And I was like, what, again, trigger word, detox, right? Cleanse. So like my first question was, well, what do you mean detox, cleanse? Why 30 days? And that was the thing, was like, there was no answer to the why 30 days. Cause like I was me being a dork and being like, well, alcohol really only stays in your system, you know, up to maybe 72 hours. So like your detox or your cleanse is 3 days. Right. And it came back to this whole mindset of, well, I'm either going to go binge and like drink and party, or I'm going to shut it off and zero.
Right.
And when I was talking to my client, I was like, what if you gave yourself 1 glass a day? Like, that's not overdoing it. That's what the science says of like, for a female, 1 6-ounce glass of wine or 1 cocktail, like that seems to be just fine when it comes to our ability to tolerate it, being safe, affecting our blood-brain barrier, all that stuff. And it was like this, like eyes opened of like, am I allowed to do that? Like, and so again, it's this thing of like, we are so conditioned to be all or nothing.
Right.
That legitimately, when I propose of like, what about better than zero? Like, what if we just try a little bit better than what our ground level is?
Yeah. I like that approach. I like that wording too, better than zero. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you can find that middle ground that still makes you happy. It's like, you know, using the word diet to mean like sacrifice versus just what are you eating in a day? you know, like,
well, I think we just set ourselves up for disappointment, to be honest. And I think this is why most of my clients come to me after they're like, I've tried everything. I've gained weight. I've lost weight. I've gotten stronger. I've gotten weaker. And then I ask them like, what do you think like contributes to this? And they'll be like, well, I was really good on my diet or on my exercise program. And then they tell me what they're doing. And I'm like, sounds great, but how sustainable is that in your lifestyle, in your capacity right now? And I have some clients that are CEOs and I'm looking at their schedule. I'm like, you crazy. Like, why are you thinking you're going to like do training for a marathon triathlon and also take care of, you know, 3 kids? And also like you were recently in this new CEO position for a year. Like, this just not possible.
Right.
Yet it was this all or nothing mentality that we had to extract and say like, hey, like looking at everything you have going on, what's better than zero? What can you do? And then how consistent can you be doing that? Like, that's where the change happens. That's where the pounds start coming off, the strength starts increasing. Because in 30 days, I hate to tell you, you're going to do shit. Like, you're not going to do anything in 30 days. Like, I don't know. I feel like people might come at me, but it's like, in 30 days, like, what do you hope to expect? Like, what do you think you're going to get out of something?
Well, you could do maybe something drastic, but it's not sustainable, to your point. It's not life. It's just.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd say like, even like shifting gears from like health and wellness and fitness, like this was me going through my divorce and like coming up with like a co-parenting schedule. Like, it was so hard for me to be like black and white, like, here's my co-parenting schedule. And like my co-parent, my ex-husband, he's so all or nothing, black or white, you know, very on or off. And he's like, no, once we set this contract, like, that's it. And it was just so fascinating to see of like, well, I kept coming with like the what ifs, like, what if she's sick? What if you have a conference? What if this? And so it was just,
what if life,
what if life
actually happens to us and it's not just following the schedule that we wrote down?
Yeah. Right. So I think it's just one of those things of like, if we can give ourselves grace and remind ourselves of this idea of like, all or nothing is just foolish, or it's just setting ourselves up for disaster or disappointment or the constant like toxic cycle of, oh, I did great. Oh, now I fell. Or like the constant, like, I'm on the wagon, I'm off the wagon, I fell off the wagon. Like, it just, I don't know, like, what would you say other than saying like better than zero? Like, how do you fight that default of like all or nothing mentality?
You know, I was thinking about this as it relates to my 12-minute Tabatas that I do, because that's sort of how I came up with this, because during, you know, the hell of 2020, it's like, okay, well, when do I have like semi guaranteed time for myself? Okay, nap time. All right, well, I can't blow the whole nap time just exercising, because then I'm going to feel like I didn't get enough done. So like, what's something I could do that like really makes me feel good? So that's when I came up with like 12-minute nap time Tabata. But you know, and it sort of evolved into, you know, I keep up with the 12 minutes. It's at different times of day, but it goes along with that theory of like, whether it's 2 minutes, whether it's 12 minutes, whether it's 60 minutes, like if you can do anything for yourself, you feel that sense of accomplishment. You know, you feel and you get the energy boost, you know, the blood flowing, a little bit of endorphin, you know, flow, and it makes you feel good that it wasn't this, oh, I didn't do it again. And maybe you really wanted to get 60 minutes in and it didn't happen. But doing something is awesome. And like a lot of times I'll send home with clients like a driveway workout, or, you know, a couple weeks ago I did the playground exercises. So it's like, okay, so maybe you don't ever have a minute by yourself during the day, but like, what could you do that does make you feel a little bit more like you're doing something for yourself? So, and I think it comes back to habit. Like, it's really easy to just stand there and push them on the swing, but maybe if you made it a habit of, I don't know, 20 squats every time you got up to that swing with them, you know, each day. And
well, I ain't gonna count them because, you know, it's not my personality count.
But
I'm like, just move, man.
But I mean, you know, same thing. Whatever it is that kind of gets you, but it's like, it's the habit of not being so hard on yourself, or like not like just erasing the mentality that it has to be like this everything, or
yeah, like it has to be, I go to the gym, I do
count.
a 60-minute session. Yeah. I have to do high intensity, and like that's the only way my workout counts, right?
Right.
The whole point of that episode was like, move your body. Okay, I have the kids, maybe I put the phone down and I play tag with them. Maybe I chase them up the stairs or whatever it is. Like, because my question for you is, why 12 minutes? Like, why 12-minute Tabata?
I really liked that amount of time because within 15 minutes, I could be completely dressed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I could be, I mean, personally, within 15 minutes, I could be completely set up to film it, get a sweat in, and, you know, be done within a 15-minute window. And I feel like 15 minutes is like this small, like very easy amount of time to wrap your head around.
So for me, it's 5 minutes. Like, that's like, okay, I can wrap my head around 5 minutes. If I have 5 minutes to do something, that's not going to take too much chunk out of my day. So what I tell my clients is like, it's a 5-minute action, whether it could be set out your clothes to go to the gym the next day. It could be, you know, walk around your condo for 5 minutes and then sit down. It could be, hey, I'm going to take this 5 minutes to just like breathe and not allow myself to go into this shame spiral of this all or nothing thinking. So I think at the end of the day, what we are coming up with is like, chunk out a digestible amount of time that feels good for you and go to that, rather than going to this predisposed, like, oh, it has to be 30-day plank challenge. It has to be a 30-day whole food eating. It's like, no, that's just because a calendar 1 month says it's 30 days. It's not like some magic thing. And I bet you the more we do that, the more consistent we'll be, and long haul, holy moly, we've reached our goals. So once you catch yourself doing that all or nothing mentality and thinking, pull those reins back, y'all, and like find either it's a 12-minute Tabata, 5-minute action, whatever it is, to kind of rewire, coming back to our neural cycling of like rewire yourself to set yourself up for success, rather than this overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, the only way I'm going to be successful is if I do this large, crazy, whatever it is. So there you go.
Love it.